Hey, happy Sunday afternoon, or I should say morning, Met fans. How we all doing? I know you wish we could be doing a little bit better after yesterday's disaster, or debacle, or whatever you want to call it. But the good news is we're only hours away from another game in Metland, and you can't argue with that. With Marcus Stroman going on the mound, he always gets more support than Jacob deGrom, so I'm looking for big things. Hopefully, folks. Uh, what can we say? Jacob deGrom pitched two of the best games of his career. Yesterday, he had 14 strikeouts, just made one bad pitch to Jazz Chisholm. And unfortunately, Edwin Diaz came in the ninth inning, couldn't hold the one-run deficit. We fell apart. And then Michael Conforto continued his Houdini streak, and things just didn't work out. But we have Marcus Stroman going, and we don't want to lose two series in a row. The Philly series was excusable. The Philly was red hot coming into that series, and we had a way off there for a while. Because of the National Series being postponed. Even Jacob deGrom kind of said, "Well, that kind of hurt us going into this series. The fact that we didn't play the three games with the Nationals, and that could be a reason why the bats never came about." But there's no excuse now. We need to get our act together, especially Michael Conforto. I know he's a proven hitter, and his career average is only 259, and that's always disappointed me to some degree. So I always thought Michael Conforto would be better than what he is as a hitter for average. I love his power. I love everything about him. But he really has to have that average come up a little bit. I mean, last year he was spraying the ball all over the left field. But this year, he's just not even hitting the ball. So I think it's just the funk he's in. And when he gets hot, he'll carry the team. I'm not concerned about that at all. Edwin Diaz, it kind of put a red flag up for me with Edwin because I didn't understand what was going on there with him. He just didn't have it. Now, there was no pressure on him. They were down by a run. And usually in that case, now with extra innings being basically a crapshoot, the pitcher's not going to come. Your ace isn't going to come in and save the game in the 10th or 11th inning. He's just there to pitch the inning and keep it in check until the team bats in the bottom of that inning. So all he had to do was mow him down, just wing it, and he just didn't have it yesterday. And that concerns me because I was wanting to follow me on these broadcasts. I always say Edwin Diaz, this is going to be his year. So hopefully that was just a bad outing on his part. But getting back to Jake, what can you say? This man, can a man pitch any better? Now I'm a Tom Seaver fan. And it's selective memory because I know Tom had his bad outings, and I honestly, looking back at the stats, he was as good as they come year in, year after year. But I don't think was ever as dominating as Jacob deGrom is the last 2.5 years. I mean, lights out, 14 strikeouts, and one mistake, just one teeny weeny mistake to Jazz Chisholm. And Chisholm jumped on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and I think his exit velocity on that was 107 miles per hour. So what happens when speed meets speed? That ball goes out of the ballpark. And even Jacob said he wasn't disappointed with like the Mets production as a team hitting wise. What he was disappointed was the one pitch, and that pitch killed him. And he even said, I think I'm more frustrated about the fastball that was hit for the homer. He sold out for it. I probably should have done a better job recognizing he was going to try to get to that fastball. That's what kind of eats at me the most, giving up that run there. And the Mets, I don't understand it. They only got 3 hits yesterday. Diaz had to be removed in the ninth inning after just getting 2 outs. And Conforto, he struck out 3 times and went 0 for 4. So this just shouldn't be happening. And hopefully, like I said, we snap out of it soon because it sucks. deGrom with his second great pitching performance yesterday. Monday he pitched 6 shutout innings, and that was a big controversy removing after 77 pitches. But the bullpen imploded in the 8th inning, so even if deGrom pitched the 7th, it really didn't matter because the bullpen held. What hurt was the 8th inning. I'm not sure if deGrom would have even went that far, and he kind of agreed with the decision. And yesterday he went 8 innings because he was hardly throwing any pitches. When you strike out 14 guys, don't even pitch 100 pitches. That's friggin' amazing. And he allowed only 5 hits yesterday and reached 14 strikeouts for the fourth time in his career. And of course, he's one of the best hitters on the team so far this year. Again, he went 1 for 2 at the plate with an infield single, his third hit in 2 appearances. And Louis Rojas just shakes his head. He says, "Nothing like that. You can call it a waste because that's a strong outing. That is one of the strongest outings I have seen him have. Just a lot of swings and misses, keeping the ball down. Holding runners, he did a lot of things, fielding his position at the plate and running the bases, and he was our best player out there today." Now, this stat's going to blow your mind. I know if you watched the game yesterday, you heard them talk about this yesterday. Since the beginning of the 2018 season, deGrom has pitched to a 2.06 ERA, and the Mets are 36 and 42 in those starts. And even Brandon Nimmo, I was watching a press conference on SNY yesterday, and even Brandon Nimmo looked a little despondent. He said, "Jake is a professional in the fullest sense of the word. He never comes in and is upset with us. He always just wants to win and try to put us in a position where we can win. He never complains, never asks us what we are doing. He just wants to put us in a position to win every time." And like I said, the Mets got off to a disadvantage. It kind of ticked me off that those games against the Nationals were postponed because the Mets had nothing to do with that. And there was only 5 players that were affected. Now, the rosters are supposed to have depth for this COVID situation, like a taxi squad. And I think the game should have been played, but you can't cry. It's spilt milk. It's done. We'll be making those games up later on in the year. I think 1 or 2 of them are split day-night doubleheaders, 7-inning doubleheaders, which I'm not a fan of. If they're going to play split day-night doubleheaders, just play 9 innings and that's it. Just play 9 innings in the day, 9 innings at night. But for some reason, the doubleheader is going to be 7 innings this year. And back to Nimmo, he said, "Jake is a professional in the fullest sense of the word. He never comes in and is upset with us. He always just wants us to try to win and put us in a position where we can win. He never complains. He never asks us what we're doing. He just wants to put us in a position to win every time." And deGrom, I don't know. He even said, "It definitely didn't help us having the time off. I think that factored into my first start of where do we draw the line of how many pitches. And these guys got ramped up and didn't really get to see live pitching for a number of days, so I think that has a lot to do with it. And let's tip our hat to Trevor Rogers. He pitched one hell of a game. Trevor Rogers manhandled the Mets. He allowed just 3 hits with 10 strikeouts, so he was going toe-to-toe with deGrom. It was a heavyweight battle. And he had 2 walks over 6 shutout innings. And Nimmo's double leading off the game was the Mets' only extra hit. And we'll get to Nimmo in a little bit, but this guy is so underrated in the Met lineup, Brandon Nimmo. It's about time he got the kudos he deserves. He might have to get a bigger contract than Michael Conforto, if you ask me. And the boos continued for Conforto. They actually intensified in the 6th inning when he struck out, 3rd straight strikeout against Rogers. It was a rough afternoon, and then Pete Alonso followed with a strikeout. And Rogers was at the top of his game at this point. And Rogers left runners stranded at 1st and 3rd after deGrom had reached on infield single to lead off the inning, and Nimmo walked. So the big guys were up, and it just didn't happen. That's when you know things aren't going your way. deGrom strikeout of Rogers to end the 5th was his 10th of the afternoon, moving him alone into 2nd place in franchise history. Way to go, Jake. He passed Dwight Gooden, who he was tied with, for games reaching double-digit strikeouts. And now only Tom Terrific with 60 is ahead of deGrom, who now has 47. So that's it in a nutshell for that game. And what are you going to do? Time to move on, right, folks? Time to move on. Today we got Marcus Stroman, and I like the way Marcus came out. I know it's his contract year, so I expect big things from him this year, and hopefully we'll get him. He pitched great his first time out. And hopefully the bats wake up, because we were shut out for the first time this season yesterday. The Mets were shut out 4 times last year and 2 times by Miami. So Miami's kind of got us. And remember last year it happened was both ends of a doubleheader. Those 7-inning doubleheaders I'm talking about. We were shut out. We just didn't hit the ball at all that day. And now the Mets, unfortunately, the feeble Mets so far, have only scored 3 runs or fewer in 4 to 5 games this year. Not good. And the batting with runners in scoring position, it just ain't happening. We're 0-6 with 5 strikeouts with runners in scoring position yesterday, and we're 6 for 41, a 146 batting average with runners in scoring position. And no matter how you slice it, that ain't going to win us ball games. Now, that was Jacob deGrom's longest pitching start since June 18th of 2019. So Jake, because he was throwing very few pitches, was wheeling and dealing. And the Atlanta game, he pitched 8.1 innings back in 2019. So it's a rarity when Jake goes 8 innings. Like I said, he tied his career high with 14 strikeouts. That was the 4th time he did it. And that is the most any pitcher has had in the game so far this season. I know it's only 5-6 games in, but it's still a nice feat. And his 14 strikeout games since 2019 are the second most from his across the river counterpart, Garrett Cole. Now, he became the 4th pitcher, the 5th instance in club history to fan at least 14 in a game without issuing a walk. He had pinpoint control yesterday. And the last Met that did that, do you know who it was? Okay. It was Sid Fernandez. Sid, Uncle Sid, Hawaii 5-0. He had 16 Ks and 0 walks on July 14th, 1989 against Atlanta. So the Mets went 1-2 with an infield hit, and he went. I mean, Jacob deGrom went 1 for 2 with an infield hit, and is 3 for 5, batting .600 for the season. So Jake's trying to show these guys how to hit. He really is. And history was made yesterday with Jacob deGrom. As good as he pitched, he was only the 2nd pitcher in Major League history to take the loss in the game with at least 14 strikeouts, no walks, and 1 run allowed. How often does that happen, a pitcher not wins? Well, it was only the 2nd time in baseball history. And when was the last time that happened? It was when James Shields was defeated by the Orioles 1-0 on October 2nd, 2012 in a 15 strikeout, no walk complete game. And the magic of deGrom in the day game just keeps on happening. He now has an ERA of 1.0080 in day games, and that's the best mark in Major League history. And he's allowed 1 or no runs in 87 of his 185 career starts. Now, how about my boy Brandon Nimmo? I keep saying, Nimmo gotta play. You cannot. It was so stupid. I still have flashbacks to opening night when they had Nimmo batting 8th, and there was no rhyme or reason for that. You need Nimmo. He's an on-base percentage machine. You need him as a leadoff guy. Even if he doesn't hit, he gets hit by a pitch or a walk or what have you. Well, he extended his on-base streak, I should say, to 18 games with a leadoff double. And he has led off each of the last 2 games with a double. He reached base 13 times in the Mets' first 5 games of the season. That's tied for 5th most times on base through 5 games in franchise history. So the man is on fire. We just can't take advantage of this situation. Nimmo's doing it. We just can't take advantage. And he owns get this, a .565 on-base percentage this year. 13 out of the 23 plate appearances Nimmo has had, he's reached base. And Dominic Smith, you know I love Dom, and hopefully he can transition to left field. Let's be honest, Pete Alonso's playing very, very good at first base. And if Dom, you need that bat in the lineup, and hopefully he hasn't embarrassed himself in left field, so maybe I'm not giving him the credit he should be getting. But he's hitting 4 straight games now for the Mets, and I kind of like that. Now, getting back to the Marlins, they did snap a 4-game losing streak with their first shutout victory of the season. It's their first shutout of the Mets since August 25th, 2020. Trevor Rogers, simply in fuego yesterday, going toe-to-toe, heavyweight matchup with Jacob deGrom. And it was 2nd career victory. And get this, both of his career victories have come against the Mets in games started by Jacob deGrom. So we see in a little divisional pitching rivalry there, Trevor Rogers, Jacob deGrom. So far, so good. But how about us starting to win some of those games against Trevor Rogers? Now, he held the Mets hitless in 6 at-bats with runners in scoring position, and he blanked the Metsies for 6 innings, and he tied a career high with 10 strikeouts, and he did that also last season, September 6th, against Tampa Bay. And Marlins are having a tough start, but you can't play in the starting pitch, and that's for sure. So Donnie Baseball has to be happy about that. Miami's starting pitchers have been combined 2.01 ERA through the team's first 8 games. And Jazz Chisholm, how about Jazz? Oh boy, he saw that deGrom fastball that wasn't where it should be as far as Jacob was concerned. He smacked it. A 107.4 exit velocity off a 100.4 mile an hour Jacob deGrom fastball in the second inning. That's the fastest pitch a Marlins player has hit for a home run since pitch tracking began in 2008. It was the first home run deGrom has ever allowed on an 0-2 count. He is the 11th rookie to homer off of deGrom and third Marlins rookie. Who are the other two? There's another trivia question for you. And here's the answer. Remember, Izan Diaz in 2019 and Brian Anderson in 2018. I like Anderson. He's a good ball player. And Jesus Aguilar. What a fun spirit he was. Anyone see that little exchange at second base when they called Aguilar out and Lindor was having some fun with him and pushed him off the bag? That was funny. Well, he drove in a run in the ninth inning with an RBI single, and he extended his hitting streak to 7 games, 320 batting average over that streak, 8 for 25. And Starling Marte, he's doing okay for the Marlins, and he had his third multi-hit game of the season, and he scored a run. So today we need to get back out there at Citi Field and knock them off. But before we do that, let's have our usual fun. Birth dates in Met history today. Wally Whitehurst, Britt Saberhagen, Bobby Jones, Trot Nixon, and Alejandro Diaz. How about that for a fivesome? And transactions we made in Met history on this day, we signed Brett Butler as a free agent on April 11th, 1995. And then we signed Claudio Vargas on April 11th, 2008. Now, the random game I always like to pick, I pick a random game a day and we chat about it, is I pick a random year that fell on this date in the calendar. It's April 11, 2011, and it's the Mets against the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies came in smoking that game. The Mets were off to a slow start. The Rockies came in with a 6-2 record. The Mets were struggling a little bit, 4-5, but the Rockies beat us. And the big blow in the game was Troy Tulowitzki. Tulo, remember when he was like the best player in baseball? He hit a 3-run home run in the top of the 8th. The Mets at one time had the game tied up 2-2 going to the bottom of the 4th, and then they went at 4-2. Rockies tied it up in the top of the 6th, and 2-0's blow in the top of the 8th made it 7-4. The Mets scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th, but couldn't catch up, and the 9th was scoreless. Big Pelf started the game. Remember Pelfrey? Yeah, Big Pelf. He pitched 5-1, third innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. We had 5 guys coming out of the bullpen, and once again, the bullpen lost the game. Bobby Parnell. What can you say about Bobby Parnell? He lost the game. He gave up those 3 runs on the home run to Tulowitzki and got the loss. The big stuff happened in that game. I love this lineup that the Mets had. Really good stuff. Remember this lineup from days past? Jose Reyes leading off, batting first. Shortstop Daniel Murphy at second, batting second. The captain, David Wright, batting third. Carlos Beltran, right field, batting fourth. Ike, the Hebrew Hammer, batting fifth at first. Angel Pagan, batting sixth in center field. Willie Harris in left field, batting seventh. Josh Tolley, catching, batting eighth. And Big Pelf on the mound, batting ninth. So that's our fun broadcast for today. We went live on the group site. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm actually going to try. For some reason, I'm struggling seeing if you guys are leaving messages or not, and I got to figure out how I can do this. I'm trying to go on Facebook or not, but if you did leave a message, I'll respond to them. But for some reason, I can't get them live here. And maybe you're not leaving messages, but I wish you would. Well, anyway, that's it. So enjoy the Mets today. Marcus Stroman on the mound. As always, thank you so much for watching these broadcasts. Please become a subscriber if you're not already. That way you'll know when the next one's coming up. They're all archived. And just hit subscribe and you'll get them all. If you like the podcast, let me know. Hit like. And if you didn't like the YouTube cast, hit negative. And then if you ever want to reach me, my email address, I'm making it available to you, my fellow Met fans. It's PHILSTAN41 at gmail.com. Drop a line if you have any question about the site or the videos we do. And if you ever want to pop on one, please let me know and we can arrange it. And then we can have you get to know you as a Met fan, what's on your mind with the Mets, what your Met experiences are, what have you. So I'm always offering this offer to anyone out there who wants to come on board. Well, that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow with one of these YouTube casts. We're hopefully recapping another Met win. So once again, enjoy the day. Hopefully they get the game in. It looks like a little rain out there, but hopefully they get the game in. Play ball, and let's go Mets.